Welcome back everyone. In this video I show you 5 little projects that are very easy to make and also a lot of fun to make. But I have to say, unfortunately, they probably won't sell for you. I don't know if is it really unfortunate that they won't sell? To be honest, I don't think so. And let me explain you why. Before I dig into my explanation, I want to share you some thoughts that I had in the last few, let's say, years or so, because there's something that I noticed in the last years, especially here on YouTube, and that is almost every time when I see something that has a topic woodworking, or let's say 75% of the time I see something that, especially on social media, that has a topic woodworking, it's all about money. It's all about selling woodworking. And it's kind of, to be honest, it kind of makes me sad. But please don't understand me wrong. I think there's nothing wrong with trying to make money with woodworking. I mean, I had a few years ago, I had a little side business where I made some furniture for customers and sold them on, especially on mostly on Facebook Marketplace. And I also think there's nothing wrong with making YouTube videos about, okay, what can you build that would sell, and how you would sell something. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I did it by myself. I made videos where I showed what I made and what I sold, and I probably will do again. But as far as I'm concerned, I only want to show something when I really have the proof that it works, or at least it worked for me, because I do not want to make false promises. Because especially here on YouTube, like I said, but also on other social media platforms like Facebook or so, some Facebook groups that I'm in, there's the topic money is in my opinion it's just too much. When I'm on YouTube watching woodworking videos, I have the feeling that there's only 3 different categories of videos. First category is tool reviews, and okay, sometimes I watch them too. There's nothing wrong with it, even though that I don't watch them very often because I'm not in the market for a lot of tools. Most tools I have already, and I have my opinions on different brands also. So I do not watch a lot of those videos. But yeah, like I said, nothing wrong with it. And second category would be projects. And mostly it's like really big, time consuming and money consuming projects that people made. And there's also nothing wrong with it. It's just, those projects are very often too big. Too big for my shop, too big for my tools, too big for, well, let's say too time consuming for me as a little weekend warrior in my shop. And the third category I think is the most problematic, and the third category is make money with woodworking. And lot of those videos, I think, well, I do not want to blame someone, but most of those videos people talk about small stuff where you can make, I don't know, hundreds of them. Like, okay, get this 2x4 and turn it into something fancy, and you can sell it for, I don't know, $100 or so, and then you have profit of so and so much percent. And I don't know, it's I think it's a little bit misleading, those videos. There's the profit people talk about in those videos is more theoretical. I don't think that's very often, it's not very realistic. I mean, when it comes to selling or marketing, what's the difficulty, or what's the biggest challenge on that? The biggest challenge is not to make something. The biggest challenge is find someone who's buying it. And I mean, of course, you can buy a cheap piece of wood and you can spend some time to turn it into something special, but who would buy it then? You really need to do a lot of research, and you need to talk to a lot of people. You have to go do research on the internet, or maybe even offline or so, just to find someone or to find a market for that. And but people maybe I'm wrong, but I have the feeling lots of people watch those videos and think, oh, okay, yeah, that's great advice, or he gave me a lot of great ideas what I can make. And then they go into their shops and then they start building for maybe 4 hours, maybe for days, maybe for weeks, maybe for longer, and then they produce like tons of little small stuff, and then, well, and then they can't sell it. Then they go to a little markets, or they try it on Facebook or whatever app you use to, and they try to sell their stuff. And it, well, in my experience or from what I hear from other fellow woodworkers, that usually does not really work. Usually they keep their stuff forever. It's sitting in their shops, and in the, well, worst case would be you spend a lot of money on the material, and then you cannot sell it. Well, at least then you can say you have enough birthday or Christmas presents for the next maybe decades or so. But yeah, you know what I mean. So what I really have difficulties to find on YouTube is find videos where people make little projects that are not for selling. And this is pretty much the reason why I made this video here, because everything I make here in this video is, well, I won't say 100% useless, but, well, like I mentioned before, probably nobody would buy it. So, and I think that pretty much brings us back to a question where we have to ask ourselves, why why are we doing this stuff? Why are we do woodwork? Is it really about the money? I mean, looking back when you started with this fantastic hobby, did you really had only money in your mind? Is this why you started with it? As far as I'm concerned, I did not. And if you I mean, if you're just a beginner or so, and you want some advice from me, if you have in mind, or if your thoughts are, okay, I want to start with woodworking because I want to make some money on the side, then my recommendation would be, well, find something else. To be honest, it's not really worth it. That's my opinion. There are easier ways to make money on the side than spending, I don't know, when I look back what I spent on my shop, well, it's, I would say 10 to 15K Canadian dollars. And maybe, and that's not even the most expensive shop, I would say. Some people spend a lot more money on their shops, and that is something that you have to buy or have to get somehow. Maybe you also have to rent a shop somewhere because you don't have some room at home. And you really have to put, or you really have to spend money before you can make any money with it. You know what I mean. In my opinion, woodworking is one of the most expensive hobbies you can have, because you always have to, you don't only need to buy tools, but you also have to buy material all the time. So this is not only, woodworking is not only time consuming but also money consuming. And if you do this only because you want to create an income with it, well, there's, I don't know, get a second job or so. That would be my advice. No offense, but woodworking is not the it's not the easiest way to make money on the side. I'm not saying it's impossible, but there are definitely easier ways to do that. But what I'm also not saying is don't start with woodworking at all. Or I'm also not saying, well, get rid of all your tools because you don't make money with your woodworking. I'm not saying this. I just want to switch a little bit or change the perspective on the whole topic. And as far as I'm concerned, woodworking is still one of the greatest hobbies in the world. Just just do it for the right reasons, and don't take too much advice from people who you want to make you believe that when it comes to woodworking, it's always and only about money. I mean, look at me here. If money would be my only motivation, then I would probably have wasted a whole Saturday on making these little pieces here, and also I would have wasted several hours on editing this video here. What I really want to say is, don't let yourself get dragged too much into this make money with a woodworking game. It's really not worth it in my opinion. But if you still want to make money with your woodwork, I can put a few links in the description below to other videos that I made where I show some projects that I sold in the past and which turned out really good for me. But there's another thing you have to consider if you want to make some money with woodworking. And that is not only that you could be disappointed by the results or by the bad results, let's say. No, it's also that it could really go into the other direction. This is how it went for me. I stopped working on my side business, or I stopped my side business at a point when I was too busy. I had too many projects on the going. I had too many customers asking for stuff. And at that time, I have to say, I only had one child. Now I have three. But even with one child, small family, it was it was so much work that I had. I had a full-time job. I mean, I still have a full-time job, but I had a full-time job at that time where I had a 3-day weekend. We had we had a work schedule of 4 days of work with 10 hours of work, so that we had a 3-day weekend, which was really great. But on the 3-day weekend, I was working 2 days only for my side business, and like from morning to the evening. It was so much. I had so much to do. And over time I almost completely lost my passion for woodworking. And it is, yeah, if for someone who is only doing this as a hobby, is maybe it's difficult to understand, or maybe it's easy to understand, I don't know. But there's, I mean, other people said this before. This is not coming from me, but if you turn your hobby into a business, then it's not a hobby anymore, and that is so true. For me, eventually, it was nothing but a job anymore. And you might say, okay, well, what is wrong with it? Because if it's still something you enjoy, even if you lose a little bit of your passion, well, what's the problem? But let me ask you a question. So whenever you buy a new machine or just a smaller tool for your shop, what how do you approach that, or how do you think about this? I mean, let's say you let's say you need a new table saw, or maybe a miter saw or so. You do some research on the internet, and eventually you make your choice and you order something. You order the new miter saw from whatever brand. You get it in the store, or you get it delivered. You unpackage it, and then you assemble it, and the whole thing of I think of picking it up, bringing it home, unpackage it, build it together. The whole thing is something that is I mean, that is something that most of us would probably enjoy, right? I mean, it is pretty much part of the whole woodworking hobby, right? Getting something new and put it together, try it out. And this is also something that you, or that most of us, I would say, really enjoy. But if you if this becomes only a job for you, then the whole thing of doing research for a new machine and ordering it, picking it up, unpackaging it, build it together, all that stuff that gave you some pleasure before. Now it's just annoying. It's not part of the hobby anymore. It's just something that kind of slows down your business. You really hate that. You think, oh man, I have to put this machine together, and it takes so long, so I would lose time and eventually lose some money. And but then you finally done, and then you're happy because you think, oh man, now I can speed things up a little bit. Now I can work even faster than before, so I will be more efficient. And is this really something, or is this really a position where you want to be? That you hate the process of getting a new machine and put a new machine together? Is this really something you want to hate because it slows you down? Or or buying or doing research for a new machine? Usually it, for us woodworkers, it would be something like, oh, a new machine, so it would be so much fun to work with it. But if you treat this, or if you have to think about this just like a business, then it's more like, okay, oh, let's buy this new machine because it makes me more efficient. But the the woodworking hobby is anything but it's not about efficiency, right? That's just my opinion. And like I said, you really have to ask yourself, is this a position where I want to be, where I want to approach things in the future? I don't know. But yeah, like I said, I gave up this little side business a few years ago when it turned out too much into a direction like this. And I never looked back. I never regretted that decision. And now I'm doing a lot better, in my opinion, I think. And even more important, I think, I feel a lot better now. But for yourself, if you still want to make money with your woodworking, I do not want to talk you out of that. And also, if you really want to know how I did this, how I made money with it in the past, even though that I don't do this anymore, just let me know. Just write a comment, and if enough people want to find out how I did this in the past, I can probably make a video in the future where I talk about how I started a little side business in woodworking, and how I made it successful. I'm more than happy if I can help. But if you really can't wait that long, here's a link to a video where I show you one of my absolute best selling woodworking projects in the past. For the rest of you, thanks for watching and see you next time.